Well, welcome back, everyone. This is What's Next with Diana Pierce. I'm talking with Patty Peterson, and she's been telling us about this incredible story of survival after her heart event, which was basically an aorta dissection. That's the technical term for what you have.
Yes.
And I would say, you know, by God's grace, you are here.
And I would say you're absolutely right about that, from what I understand. Yes, you know.
And one of our questions that we had is
yes.
that they wanted to know, looking back now, is there anything that you would have done differently?
I don't know that I would have had that choice. Let me say a little bit more about the enlarging of the aorta. Oftentimes a cardiologist, and I was working with a cardiologist, will look for that enlargement to be at a number called 5 centimeters. If you think of that, 5 centimeters, well, if anybody has gone through childbirth, moms, dads, you know, people out there, 10 centimeters is when a natural birth can happen. The birth canal is at 10 centimeters. So 5 centimeters is pretty darn big. If you hold your finger and your index finger and your thumb, it's about, I'm going to guess 2.5 inches. And mine was at 4.3 in January of 2007. That was not an indicator to tell me this was going on, that it was enlarging.
Wow.
Because they usually waited with patients until 5 centimeters.
Do they do that now? Do they wait?
I think that in the 11 years what's happened, they have researched how a pre-existing condition can change that dynamic, whereas they probably would have talked to me earlier. They would have talked to me then about, you know what, we're keeping an eye on this. In 1 month's time, the dissection for me happened, and my aorta had grown from 4.3 to 4.6, and that's what the graft is at. Still 4 centimeters. No, I can't imagine. I'm at 4.6 where the graft is. What I had heard is 5 centimeters they talked. So I had a ways to go. But could I have changed that? No, not really. Would it be changed now? Probably. If you have any reason to be getting a chest x-ray, because if it's enlarged, some things move out of the way a little bit. But I don't think, if there's any sort of heart disease in your family, ask for an echo.
Okay.
Ask for an echocardiogram, get the chambers checked, have them measure that aorta. Make sure all of your valves are in good working order, especially if you're winded. Gals, I'm going to say, don't think it's just menopause entering, because that's some of the things I had thought.
Sure.
And they coincided. Being that I was working all the time, you know, I really didn't have signs except for irregular heartbeats. I was being treated with medication for those. So would I do anything differently? No, I don't think so.
You can't. I mean, looking
can't
back
answer
now,
that.
right.
No, except that.
Yeah.
Except what I can tell people is, if this has happened, you know, somebody who's gone through this, you can't underestimate the fact how important it is for you, a sibling, a mother, a child of a person who has gone through this, whether they've lived or died. You have to be checked. You have to talk to your doctor about it, and then they will lead you on the path of discovery.
See,
and it might be nothing.
Yeah, and I'm a little past mine. Now, see, my dad had quadruple bypass surgery, and my mom had a massive stroke. But it wasn't until I was around 50 and talking at a health event that a cardiologist sitting in the audience came up to me afterwards, because I had shared the fact that my brother had had a stent put in at age 58. And she just pointed her finger at me and she goes, have you had your echo chamber tests? Have you done your stress tests? And I said, no. She goes, do not pause any longer. Especially when you have a sibling that has that. So in my
first degree
family,
relative, there's that language right
exactly.
there.
Yeah. So in my family, it's that headlight at the end of the tunnel. We know that heart disease runs, you know, quite strong in my family. So I'm due for another one.
Well, yes, and I have to get checked once a year with a contrast dye, MRI or CT scan, to make sure there are no new aneurysms, because this dissection went to my legs. Now, 15% of the kidney came back. They left it in there. So I don't really, I have an adrenal gland issue as a result, and I'm assuming it's related to that. But here's what's important about all of that, is that we live in a time where we can get the tests for us to make sure we're on top of our health. You know, for us women, 1 in 3 women, if they look around a room, we've all been at the lunches for Go Red, 1 in 3 women will lose their life to heart disease, heart-related situation. That's mind-boggling. Over
and
cancer.
we think breast cancer, but
exactly,
it's heart disease.
It's heart disease. Yeah. And I think that, you know, when there's a coffee in a coffee store that's made to benefit Go Red for women and heart disease, I will say that we have done our job spreading that particular word. But when the people get together, when the women come together, it's a wonderful social event. But the doctors are there, the researchers are there. Because of them, lives like mine are saved. And probably because of that piece of advice to you, your life could be saved.
Well, but you're saving lives now, and it's part of a live your gift. And
yes.
So tell me how a woman who came up to you, how did this whole spark you?
Well, you know, when you go through something like this and you survive it, when you hear so many people that don't survive it, they say, oh my gosh, we can't believe this, you've got to write a book. What do I have to possibly say? I did a lot of talk radio with our local CBS, which is WCCO Radio, and I had a lot of book authors on that were either spiritual or holistic medicine or who had something to say how to live your life better. And I'm thinking to myself, scratching my head, remembering all those books, going, what did I possibly have to say to change someone's life in this particular category? And being a very spiritually oriented person, what happened for me was I was singing at a church about 1.5 years later, and you know, every time I get to open my mouth, there's praise and gratitude that's going on inside of me, and it might be a contemporary piece that I'm singing, but that gratitude is a big part of what I do when I sing. I had 2 services that day, and somebody was sitting at the edge of the seat, and she and a friend were looking at us, and they raised their hands that they were new, and the woman stopped me on my way in between the services and said, I loved the music you sang today. Oh, and oh, by the way, I know your family. I worked with one of your sister-in-laws, and my name is Joy, and how is everybody? And I'm like, oh, great, thank you so much. And I said, you know what? Music is so great, as you well know, Diana. Music follows us in our lives, good times, bad. And I said, I'm so grateful I have this platform to sing it on. And she said, no, Patty, you really live your gift. And I went, zing. I knew that's what I had to remind people, is that you live your gift. If you have dulled that voice, that you know what your gifts are and you have buried them, it's time to reacquaint yourself with your personal gifts and share them, because guess what? Your life will be so much more enriched.
And you've been able to share your gift. Your gift is singing. And so when you bring your gift of song to churches or the Dakota or anywhere, it's still that, but you can still add that little, and again, by the grace of God, there go I, right?
Amen.
Exactly. We have another person. Oh, okay. So Mark Arneson, you know him.
Hello, Mark.
I know, you two are wonderful. I was wondering if you felt tired or run down before the incident. Says makes one really appreciate the important things in life, and thanks for this awesome info.
Oh, you're so welcome. And yes, I did. I could tell when I look back. We did a video at the holidays in 2006 when we videotaped one of our concerts. And I could tell at that point when I was knowing I had to deliver a big, strong song, and Mother, a brilliant jazz pianist, we did "O Holy Night." And I could tell that I wanted to spend part of that song on the bar stool, the nice height stool, and for theatrics, and then finish the song standing up. But it felt a little wobbly, and it was the December before the heart event. And I just thought perhaps I was typical. I went, oh, well, you know, I am my age, and I suppose it's probably that I'm going, you know, it could be hormonal, it could be that I'm a little older, and
this, that, and the other thing.
And it wasn't, it was a leaky valve, and it was just that, thank God I was as strong as I was, but so, you know, that was my sign, I guess. I was still working out, you know, I was still walking, but when it came time to those serious, powerful moments as a vocalist, I wasn't quite myself. but I didn't know that's what it was. So
And now you feel more yourself. I mean, it's just
yeah.
In my story with you, is you and Paul. So when my mom was in her last days, she was in hospice care. And so your mom was checked into the same facility.
Right.
She wasn't in hospice care. She was in the rehab portion of it.
Right.
And so the three of you were sitting outside
I'll never
the
forget
window of my mom's room. And so I'm with my mom, and I hear this wonderful music coming from outside, and I'm like, I wonder what this is. And so you and Paul are singing, and you're singing to your mom.
Oh my gosh! See what you remember?
Oh my gosh.
Under my stress, I don't remember that's what I was doing. I remember embracing you when you came out.
Oh, I came out. It was like, oh my gosh, you know. And it was like, Patty and Paul, you guys are out here just making my moment, because you know, because we could hear the sound right through the window. So I don't know if you were singing Amazing Grace or whatever you were singing, but it was just lovely, and it was such a moment. So thank you forever for that. And
thank you
exactly.
Right.
You know, for being
sweetheart.
there for you know, just my mom's last couple of days, but that was so cool. You know, so now let's move on.
Yes.
To,
okay.
You are performing again tomorrow night.
Well, I am, and this is a Go Red for Women event, and it's at the Poorhouse, and this is in downtown Minneapolis. I'm going to say it's 7th and Hennepin, but people can go to my Patty Peterson fan page. Right. And that's on Facebook, and Kimberly Brown as well, and she's she's sung with the Sounds of Blackness, and she wrote an amazing song, "Get Up, Get Movin'," that you can find on YouTube. But I'm going to be singing at this event. It is a Go Red for Women event from 5 to 8 at the Poorhouse.
Okay, we've got that up there.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
Okay,
yep.
And then. We'll do some speaking. I'll tell a little tiny bit of my story. There's going to be a lot of talent and prizes, and it's a free event. We want people to come, and we want to get the message out that your heart health, guys too, is really important. So come, men, women. It's going to be a beautiful event, and what a great stage, what a great sound system they have. So that'll be a lot of fun.